deal with
Nah,
that?
man, I ain't never gonna retire. I'm never retiring, but nobody wants to face me in bare knuckles.
What's your ideal next fight?
In my next fight, they're in trouble, bro. Maybe one day we can see Platinum Mike Perry versus Conor McGregor.
Welcome back to Against the Cage. My name is Jake Arrier. I'm joined here with Eric Richter. And Eric, we got a special guest with us today, don't we?
Yeah, we got Scott Fontana here. Oh, wait, just kidding. We got Platinum Mike Perry in the house. Mike, how we doing, man?
Stop Fontana. Who's Stop
He's
Fontana?
our other co-host. It's actually his birthday this week, so happy birthday, Scott. That's why he's out.
Oh, shout out to him, man. Happy birthday.
There we go, Scott. All right.
All right, let's go, boys. We're here for Dirty Boxing.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Eric,
yes, sir. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about Dirty Boxing, man. You got a big fight card this weekend, headlined by Jairzinho Rozenstruik, former UFC fighter. Mike, you've had a crazy last 2 years. You were the BKFC champ. Fought Jake Paul. Now you got your own fight promotion, which is looking really successful. So give me the breakdown of your last 2 years.
Oh man, well I was dominating the bare knuckle game. Darren Till didn't want to face me in bare knuckle. He's a little scaredy cat. And then, then I fought Jake Paul. I had a rough fight with him. He called me on short notice, 3 weeks, and then it was at 200 pounds. It was at a new weight class for me. I had been so dominant at 185 in bare knuckle and 175. And my whole MMA career at 170. So then I tried to gain some weight. I got beat by Jake Paul in the 6th round, but I got up every time. I was on my feet. I think Chris Young could have let the fight keep going. I think Jake was getting tired, and I could have caught up on his ass. And I'm working for a rematch. And he even said on his podcast that maybe we could do it in Dirty Boxing. Now Dirty Boxing is this full-fledged promotion that's causing the waves. We did 10.5 million streams across platforms on our first DBX1 this Saturday at the Hangar in Coconut Grove on June 14th. We got DBX2, and like you said, our main event is a former UFC heavyweight, very scary, powerful guy, Jairzinho. And then co-main event, we shocked everybody with Alex Caceres fighting Rock Kakmanov, and that's actually a really interesting fight. And we have a couple other bouts that, if you're into combat sports, like a boxer versus a UFC fighter, that's on here. And in our special rule set with Dirty Boxing, we're in our own lane. We take the best of one side of boxing, we take the best of one side of MMA, and we're right here in the middle, shooting straight down at your face. So Dirty Boxing is big punches with small gloves. We got 4-ounce gloves and spinning back fist Superman punches, and we got elbows. That is one thing that has really taken us over the top of these other combat sports, especially. Could you imagine Mike Tyson hitting somebody in the corner and they're guarding, and then he can throw elbows at them right through their guard down the middle? I mean, that's just so dangerous and devastating. If you knock your opponent down, you can ground and pound for the finish, or if they're able to defend themselves and either get back to their feet or cause a stalemate to slow you down, the referee stands them back up and the boxing continues. It's going to be such an incredible event this weekend, and I'm so excited for it.
So what have you attributed to the success? So I know it's you're promoting. Jon Jones is an investor. Where's all the success coming from? You guys are crushing it on social media, TikTok, Facebook. What are you attributing to success, and where's all the money coming from? Because we've seen that a lot of MMA promotions fall off, especially Eagle FC, like Khabib's promotion, fell off pretty quickly. So what are you attributing to success?
Oh, that's interesting you say that. I contribute the success to my fighting style. The way that I brought it in fights, the way that I didn't back up and it was, I go forward, I'll take a hit to give a hit. And, coward in me, and that's what we want to see in dirty boxing. We put these guys in the pocket in a small 18-foot ring, with small gloves on, and they're throwing heat at each other, and they're going for wins. There three 3-minute rounds, 5 3-minute rounds in the main event. So it's fast paced, but there's a little bit extra time going on in between these rounds. It's not a 5-minute round, so it's over long, where these guys have to strategize more for each round. It's get in the pocket and throw your heat, and that's what Platinum Mike Perry always did in his fights and my fights. And you know, considering Khabib and them, they may have been. We're all about the entertainment. We're all about the excitement, those moments that make you jump out of your seat. And fighting is an interesting sport, like in MMA, where a lot of it's boring to some people. Don't get me wrong, strategy and like ability to grapple and do those things. I have respect for that, and there are some people who are really good, but they have to understand that they have to respect the fact that if you're really good at grappling, you got to get to the ground first. And if you're fighting Mike Perry in a street fight and I am uppercutting the crap out of you or punching you in your head, you're probably going to fall over, and you're not going to like it when you hit the ground and I'm just ground and pounding over the top of you, because I'm a big puncher, man. I can punch with the best of them. Point blank,
Well,
period. So it's all about excitement.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, back in, I don't want to say back in your fighting day, we haven't seen you fighting any. What is the status of your fighting career right now? Are you totally focused on DBX right now and not fighting? Or are you like, I don't know, I don't want to use the word retirement, but you like semi-retired right now, or what's the deal with
Nah,
that?
man, I ain't never gonna retire. I'm never retiring. You ain't got to worry about that. It's just a matter of time. It hasn't been a year since Platinum Mike Perry has fought. It's been a year since I fought bare knuckle, but nobody wants to face me, excuse my language, in bare knuckle. Like, it's just such a brutal thing. It made me say the F word. Like, fighting Platinum Mike Perry in no gloves, bro, I'm coming for your head. So, we're blowing up dirty boxing. I'm gonna try to get Darren Till to bring his big scouse butt over here and put the dirty boxing gloves on. We can have a spa with the dirty boxing gloves on, and I'm gonna knock some of those fake teeth out of his mouth. So dirty boxing is going up. All these people hating are gonna watch. And if they don't watch, then they're gonna miss the best show, because we got the most action-packed event going on this weekend. Even though
Have
I
you
have a friend fighting at UFC Atlanta, brother of mine, Philly Fresh. Shout out Philly Fresh fighting UFC Atlanta. I'm gonna try to watch that while I'm commentating. We'll see how the fights line up.
Of course, Philly Fresh, meaning Phil Rowe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Phil Rowe is obviously fighting in the prelims of UFC Atlanta, and you're promoting DBX one. Conor McGregor promotes bare knuckle fighting. Have you talked to him at all? I mean, we talked about this. I was at the Tampa event. I was one of the media members that you were at, and I was at your press conference. We talked about Conor McGregor a good bit that night. Have you heard from him at all with the BKFC crew? And what's the latest? Obviously, you guys have had maybe a tumultuous back and forth about in July of last year.
Well, we don't really communicate like that. I've been picking up on my promoting of the BKFC because I would like to get back in there, but he's good for attention, and he can thank me for that, for bringing him into the BKFC ring when I had a big fight against Luke Rockhold at a big weight class, and I fought that big X heavyweight or big X light heavyweight or middleweight, excuse me, middleweight UFC champion. Those guys, middleweights in the UFC, they're like light heavyweights to
He's
me.
a
I
big boy.
swear. So yeah, he's a big guy, So I brought Conor in there, and he was like, "Wow, this is exciting. Let me do some work with David Feldman and do some promoting for these guys in the BKFC." And he brings a lot of attention. So I'm cool with that. I'm grateful for that. I think he posted a car yesterday, a really nice looking Ferrari. I think it was the same color as the platinum tequila bottle that's coming out. So, you know, if Conor can get done with the UFC, I get another BKFC fight. I'm going to smash my opponent. And then maybe one day we can see Platinum Mike Perry versus Conor McGregor. All love for the sport and entertainment and excitement. And we can talk some trash to each other, but it won't even matter because I'm going to talk trash with these hands. I can't wait to put these bare knuckle paws on somebody again. And if that doesn't happen soon, then I'm putting the damn dirty boxing gloves on and I'm going to punch somebody with the small gloves.
Do you feel like Connor kind of you make the point about the stare off? That was a major moment. That was a viral moment in the combat sports world. He was holding the BKFC belt. That is a good point. Do you feel like Connor kind of did you feel like disrespected at all when Connor was coming after you after the Jake Paul fight after you had that moment with him inside the ring?
Nah, I mean, I guess, but that he's a disrespectful sometimes, as am I. I can be at times as well. He said one of the best things he could say after the Jake Paul fight. That's what happens in fights. There's some fights this weekend on Dirty Boxing that I'm like, I'll either be disappointed or I'll be really excited that disappointment's a bitch and a lot of people were counting on me to beat on Jake Paul, and I took the fight. I think people are talking to me and Jon Jones in a similar fashion right now. Me and Jon being very different in the fact that he's never lost, but I'm still up on my feet and ready to throw down with somebody. People are being so disrespectful about the Tom Aspinall fight. But then with me, they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have took the Jake Paul fight." But they've never taken any fight. None of these people saying anything have ever had a fight that anybody watched anywhere. So if they did fight, they're not saying that. They're just like, "Damn, I was hoping Mike could get something done." But my next time in the ring, I'm still chasing that Jake Paul. Let's see what Jake Paul does against Chavez. I think, he might beat Chavez. Chavez is a very experienced boxer, but they'll never give him his credit. He did good. His team helped him a lot. He had a plan together, and he called me with not enough time, to be honest with you. I think I deserved more time. And he'll say, "Oh, I've been fighting all this time in my life." Yeah, but I had just won a fight in April that year against Thiago Alves, so I was chilling and no excuses, man. I think I would do some things differently if I had another camp, another involvement with that opportunity, and I am with boxing being so different. Like if it was dirty boxing and I could grab, you saw me throw Jake on his head. That's a bit of dirty boxing right there. If I could fight him in the clinch, I got yelled at by the referee for hitting him on a break. Like the ref didn't say break. Like Jake tried to grab me and I was fighting him off and then hit him in the head. And the referee was like, "You can't do that." What? I'm not supposed to hit him? So,
Yeah.
I need another chance, another opportunity. They don't want to let me back in the ring. They want me to sit here and just listen to all these idiots who don't do shit, talk shit online. And, Conor ain't fought in however long. It hasn't even been a year for me since I fought. And my next fight, whoever I'm fighting, they're in trouble, bro. I don't know. I hope y'all can believe that. I'm cussing and stuff.
I'll be editing
Jake,
this
you got
afterwards.
it, bro.
I got it.
Jake, you got it, bro. You make a good point about the boxing thing. That's kind of like the playbook, right? Like Floyd Mayweather did that to Conor McGregor back in the day. I believe he only got like 4 months to prepare for the fight when it was Conor Floyd. It's kind of like the playbook. It seems like, turn that around real quick so that you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Really quick, you Jackson Wink and you trained at Jackson Wink, which was obviously Jon Jones's longtime training camp. So what's your relationship like with Jon, and what's your best guess on what his future looks like? Obviously, he's going to be at the event this weekend as well.
Yeah, man. I just hope Dirty Box can keep growing and that I can keep getting better as a fighter and as a promoter, as a person, as a father, as a man. These are all things I want to do. And Jon is someone that you can look up to. I think if you read articles based on media, you don't know who's real media, who's fake news, like Donald Trump says, because people, obviously, we've all had mistakes in life, but I think Jon's done an incredible job. And I've enjoyed how he's dealt with this Tom Aspinall thing, because everybody's got some ants in their pants about it. And I think Jon deserves the right to do it on his own time when he wants to. And he's really confusing everyone. He's confusing everybody. So I'm a fan of Jon and a friend, I'd like to say, and we just want to enjoy our lives and everything we fought for all this time. I've definitely taken some punches and punishment in my life, but I enjoy it a little bit. I like I'm gonna go home and tell my wife to put on the dominatrix outfit and slap me around with some leather swats or something, and we can have a good time. So I met my wife because of Jon. So Jon is like a brother to me. And I can't say too much about him. You'd have to ask Jon himself, because I don't want Jon to throw a spinning elbow at me. But
Fair
not to
enough.
say that it wouldn't be enjoyable.
Jake, I'm gonna kick it to you. Do you have any questions for Mike before we wrap?
Yeah, just to close out, I'm curious, you're part of two great promotions. You have your own one, Dirty Boxing, and BKFC, the King of Violence. For you, ideally, before we let you go, what's your ideal next fight in which promotion?
Man, well, my ideal next fight is to fight some old man in bare knuckle that I can beat up. I think fighting anybody in bare knuckle, I can cause a lot of damage. I can hurt their hands with my face, and I can hurt their face with my hands. So it's a win-win for me. I get paid good over there, and it's very exciting, very fast-paced. It's a very Mike Perry style of fighting. So, like I said, if that doesn't happen soon, and I'm hoping it does, there should be an announcement in July.
Okay.
Then I'll be hitting the tables with my partners, and we'll be talking about something for Dirty Boxing.
Dirty Boxing, Dirty Boxing.
Don't get mad at me, Feldman. I need a fight, Feldman. Come on, Let's go, brother. I'm ready.
There we go.
Sir.
Thank you so much, Mike Perry, for joining us.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate you, man, and look forward to hearing that announcement in July. Hit us up when you got it.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Hopefully you fucking see it and it goes viral.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely, bro.
Alrighty, Eric. Well, that was something. I loved having Mike Perry on there. What did you think?
Mike's always entertaining, man. He's an entertaining guy, and I don't know how dominatrix got into the conversation, but he snuck that in there, kind of.
He did. Know. It was almost a little unsettling how seamless it was.
It was. If he planned that, well done, because he got me.
Yes, he did.
All right. Let's move on to UFC 316 now that we had Mike Perry talk about dominatrix on the podcast.
Yes. So obviously UFC 316, you and I were there at the Prudential Center. As we all know, Sean O'Malley gets submitted by the machine, Merab Dvalishvili. But while we could talk about Merab, and there is kind of a little bit more obvious of a fallout in that regard, let's talk about Sean O'Malley. I know you like Sean O'Malley, you're a fan of his, but it's not so cut and dry for Sean O'Malley and what his next move is. What do you think is next for Sean, if you're him or the UFC?
It's a tough spot. 135 is super loaded. However, I'd still say he's a top 5 guy in the division. I wouldn't say that this is, curtains for him in terms of fighting for a title. My issue is like you're never going to fight Merab again. You've already lost twice. So Merab is off the table.
Yeah.
Umar is a bad matchup for him. So those top two guys, that's a bad spot to be in. To have to fight those guys. So like Umar, like in theory, would be next, but I don't think the UFC would even want to do that and tank his stock. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a dangerous fight for a guy like Sean.
I mean, what's he going
Three
to be?
three loss streak would not be good.
No, you can't have a three loss streak. So like, and you can't give him a can either. Like you can't do like someone at the press conference asked if he could fight Marlon Vera again. It's like, yeah, sure. He shouldn't have fought him the first time that he fought him or the second
I
time. So
think
like a
he
third
said,
fight.
"Did you see that last fight?" Is what he
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I believe that was Dana's response. Like, I mean, sure. Now if Corey Sandhagen were to win the title, that would be better. If Corey, but again, no, we're talking about something that's a little bit out there.
Yeah,
As for what's next, Song Yadong is an interesting fight.
I
I
like
think
that.
that could be good at 135. I don't know. He didn't sound super interested in moving up to 145. If you listened to his podcast with his coach Tim Welch, it didn't really sound like 145 was of super interest.
Hmm.
So I'm not certain that that will happen. And then you're looking for a top five guy at 135 in a fight that is entertaining and winnable. And I don't want to see him fight Umar. Merab's never going to happen again. Let's see how Merab versus Corey Sandhagen goes, and then go from there. I mean, Merab, like we said, and like we heard in the post fight, Merab's a promoter's dream. He wants to keep fighting, man. Like he wants to fight four
Yep.
times. He wants to defend four times this year. He's already defended twice. Like that's crazy.
Dude, I shared this with you and Scott the other day. Kind of like a light bulb went off in my head. This guy has 2 wins over Umar Nurmagomedov and Sean O'Malley this year. Those 2 fights. He is in the lead for Fighter of the Year right now. Like he has to be,
Probably,
right?
probably, yeah. He's got it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's probably in the lead for sure. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the year plays out. Last year was Alex Pereira, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, we're right there. With Sean's in a tough spot, though. I mean, I thought that he had more room for improvement. I thought Marab actually improved more over time than Sean did, which I was a little disappointed by. I really thought that Sean was gonna look better with his takedown defense and land more kicks, but Marab's forward pressure was so much that he couldn't even like throw any.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
not a good performance. And he's like Sean said after the fight, he's the GOAT, man. I mean, there's nothing else I could do. He felt super strong, super quick. He's like, there's nothing I could do. Like it is what it is. I hear that. It's just I expected a little bit of a better performance, and Marab actually looked like he was the one improving, not Sean.
yeah. So we've talked a little bit about what's next for Sean, and I think, as you mentioned, it seems pretty cut and dry. Even Dana saying it in the post-fight presser, it looks like it's going to be Corey next for Merab. And you just mentioned, Sean said that Merab could be the bantamweight GOAT, right? He looked like a world beater on Saturday night, and this guy's on a 13-fight win streak at this point now. Corey Sandhagen coming off of a couple good wins. Do you think that he could possibly be the one to dethrone this unstoppable force and an immovable object at the same time? That is Merab Dvalishvili.
Not overly convinced that I thought it would be Umar, and Umar not doing it is interesting. Is surprising, honestly. I thought that Umar was going to be the one that could compete with the grappling, get with the striking, and get a victory there. So while I'm looking through all of this, I'm like, how does Merab lose? And it just seems like he's going to have to get clipped. And it's like, like eventually everyone's chin goes. And obviously he's taking shots like they're nothing. Like every time that he gets hit, it seems like he's going to get hit by a
Yeah,
fly.
he ate some
Not
shots from Sean on Saturday.
and it was like nothing. So I look at it and I'm like, eventually Merab will lose. And it might take a while though. And like like, when you look at the list of contenders, it's like you have to find somebody with enough striking power that's going to be able to do it. Now, Corey has the benefit of a nasty back take and like grappling and defensive grappling that can compete. But anytime that I look at a defensive grappler, I'm not interested in betting on them. Like it just seems like they're always going to be playing from behind, and you're looking for
A Hail Mary submission
um,
of sorts.
looking for a Hail Mary submission. That's just not happening.
Unless you're
So
Charles, but
And like even then, like when you were like matching him up with Islam Makhachev, it's like he's gonna play off his back and he's just gonna get smashed, eventually tired out. It's just how it goes. So I I don't even know who could beat him at this point. A leg locker, like if Corey can like whip out a couple like heel hooks, that'd be nice.
yeah, that's not a bad shout at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man.
It's
And
crazy.
the thing is, Marab is 34, and we know all about this 35 curse, but back in April, Volk kind of shattered it. So who knows
Yep.
if Marab does look like this absolute machine? He's got that name for a reason. Um,
Oh yeah.
Also on Saturday night, we saw another great submission. The submissions in both main and co-main events, which love to see. You and I, jiu-jitsu guys, so love our submissions. Kayla Harrison cranking a nasty Kimura on Juliana Pena to get the bantamweight title, setting up a crazy super fight between her and Amanda Nunes. Nunes steps into that octagon. Kayla Harrison does everything she needs to build up that fight. The two of them showing some respect. Former teammates, of course. Now, with Kayla's dominant performance on Saturday night and Amanda being out of the octagon for what will be over 2 years when they fight, how do you see this fight going? I like hearing you break down fights. So, who do you see winning this fight and why?
It's gonna be fascinating. Kayla Harrison had said in an interview, and that Amanda and Kayla like had sparring sessions, and that Amanda would beat her up. Now, I'm not so sure if Amanda's going to be in that kind of shape now. Having been off for 2 years, that's a significant time off. I have an issue with I wish that they weren't so buddy buddy. They used to be training together. She was like, all of my teammates want me to beat her up. And like then it's like, oh, come to the octagon, give me a hug, like it's all good, it's all love. Like you sell the fight. Come on, guys. I know that Kayla's so professional, it's almost to her detriment. If she had sold that fight and like they were like going face to face and they're actually like angry at each other, there should be some beef there, especially there has been some trash talk. Like there should be something there.
Kayla did a good
And
job with the Juliana fight, although Juliana was definitely doing her own part in that regard. But I think Kayla
yes,
did a very good job at like pushing it back
100%.
a bit.
Yeah, I just wish that I wish should lead the dance here. She's the champ. Amanda's the one that left her gym, right? Like
Yeah.
there should be some confrontation there. It just seems like she's not interested in doing it, which is a little disappointing. I think that she should lean into this rivalry a little bit more. It's just too respectful. How could this be this respectful? You used to be training partners. They left the gym. Like there's always beef there. Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw, and Uriah Faber, TJ Dillashaw. Like do some of
Little,
that. Make them the
yeah,
ultimate fighter coaches. Like something like that.
little different circumstances, I think, and there's still time left.
Who
There's
knows? They
still
never
time.
told the story.
Yeah, I think maybe with a little bit of digging, we could probably uncover a little bit more. But that's something, like you said, like this is things that they could, bring up themselves, and that adds an interesting sort of storyline to it. So there's still a lot of
100%.
time left. Maybe we'll figure out some, whichever UFC pay-per-view 330 or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the main and co-main events rounded out. Some other news and notes. Eric, when you and I are together, we like to do your favorite segment, winners and losers of the night. I'm gonna go first, if that's okay.
Go, yeah, by all means.
My Okay, so my biggest winner, super obvious. I'm gonna go Marab. I think what he's done in terms of his stock, I didn't know if it could go any higher, and it did. It went higher. But I think more interesting is my loser of the night, and it's not someone that fought on UFC 316. It's Piotr Jan. And I know that he
Ooh.
has a fight. I know that he's got a fight booked, but damn it, if he didn't and Sean won that title back, he's given a serious case for a title. Corey would probably be, kind of shaking in his boots that title shot might not come, because that rematch between Jan and O'Malley, I think that would have done serious pay-per-view numbers. So we'll see how he does in his next fight. But God, that would have been such a good fight. How about
Yeah.
you?
So my biggest loser actually won their fight over the weekend. I thought Joe Pyfer didn't do enough to really. I thought in the buildup and especially his look, like the way he was dressing, the way he was talking trash. I thought that he was. I was like, when I was at the press conference, was it Wednesday? I was like, I was like, Joe Pyfer, like, is he, potential main event at like fight nights and a pay-per-view card leader and I thought his performance was super uneven. I would have liked to see him grapple. He should have grappled. I think that Kelvin would have gave in if he had grappled. So he won the fight, but I actually think he comes out like net negative. And his post-fight interview, when we were interviewing him, he was still talking about like how he was talking about like the Mexican water got him
Yeah.
sick or whatever. And he was still talking about that as like I would like him to be a little bit more forward thinking, maybe calling out people rather than sitting back and talking about old stuff and maybe like looking at his performance a little bit more strategic. I think he only landed like less than 20 strikes. I mean, I know he got two knockdowns there, but I would have liked to see a little bit more from Joe Pyfer. So he's actually a loser, even though he won the fight. Winner, Mario Bautista. And I know he didn't get a post-fight interview, but I think that, he landed 175 significant strikes. It was
He
something
looked
like that. It was the
good.
most on the card. He looked amazing. Patchy Mix looked terrible. I think we all agree that he's the biggest loser of the card, but we're just giving two different
Unfortunately.
ones. Yeah, I mean, definitely the biggest loser of the card. Not only does I didn't realize that someone tweeted like, I didn't realize that Patchy Mix looks like Tony Ferguson, and he not only did look like Tony Ferguson facial wise, he fought like Tony Ferguson. It was bad. It was bad across the board. And I guess that's not really fair to Tony Ferguson's career because he was so successful. But at the end, it was so bad. He was such a punching bag. His head was on the center line the whole time. So my loser is Joe Pyfer. My winner is Mario Bautista. Obviously, Patchy Mix had a
Yeah,
dud.
it goes without saying he did not have the night that he was looking for. A lot of people who have seen his work, on other podcasts, like on the Ariel show, and I know Scott as well, and yourself, you probably watched a lot more Patchy Mix than I have. A lot of people are speculating that something might have been off that night just because the numbers aren't adding up. So who knows what'll come out of that? But yeah, definitely not the performance that Patchy was looking for. Alrighty, how we feeling about UFC 316? Looking ahead towards this weekend. We got a pretty good fight night, Eric. We got
Pretty good fight night.
yeah,
One thing that I just wanted to go over with UFC 316 is like I did the live blog for it, and I just stayed in the back in the media room the whole time, and I just interviewed some of like the prelim fighters and a couple of the main card guys. Just a couple of things to go over. Kevin Holland seems like he's in a really good place, and he wants to be super active. So buy in on Kevin Holland. Now and going into the future, it seems like he wants matchups that he can sink his teeth into in terms of like the buildup. So he wants Colby Covington. That was his like call out. He said he was like watching this the Muhammad Ali Will Smith movie and thought that was interesting. And he was like, I want to talk more trash. And I thought, I was like, good. We need more of that in the UFC.
wasn't there a question where he got asked, "Do you want to fight this guy?" And he was like, "Nah, that's too tough of a fight."
Yeah, we asked about it was me and the MMA junkie guys asked about Michael Morales. He was like, no.
No, give me someone easier.
Yeah, someone easier. Colby Covington. Colby Covington.
He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's like, I want to make money and win fights, and that's it. Like
Yep. Wong Kang, I
Kang
believe her
Wong.
name is. Kang Wong, sorry. Kang Wong was super dejected after the fight. Like I thought that was interesting too. Like she beat Ariane Da Silva, or formerly Ariane Lipsky. She beat her, and you would have never have known. She was like, I fought terribly. This was an embarrassing performance, and the whole thing. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, so I think that wraps us up with UFC 316. This weekend we got Kamaru Usman taking on Joaquin Buckley, and I've said this so many times on our show. Every time there's a welterweight fight, it seems like there's a new like guy who has a rightful claim to a title shot, and this is one where it's like, damn, like whoever comes out of this, like they're first off, these guys have already called for title shots if they do win this fight. Buckley said it on his podcast, and Usman also said it in another interview as well. Do you think that either of these guys could come away with a viable claim to a title shot with a win? Or is it one or the other?
Absolutely not. Neither
No.
of them. Neither of them are honestly even with like a highlight reel performance win, no. Unless it's short notice, which is different. Unless like it's like 1 week notice and they need a guy to fill in. Joaquin Buckley and Kamaru Usman are not close. Especially not Kamaru Usman, who's lost 3 straight. Love Kamaru. He won 19 in a row, was the champion for almost 3 years, 5 title defenses, an absolute legend. There is no way that you can give Kamaru Usman a title shot over Shavkat Rakhmonov, Sean Brady. I would rather give Bilal Muhammad a rematch. There's no way that would be crazy. That would legitimately be one of the craziest things ever if they got a title shot. But having said that, I think it's an interesting fight for this main event. I think that Joaquin Buckley has really improved in ways that I am surprised to see. His takedown defense was pretty shoddy at one point, and it has really improved dramatically. Colby Covington could not grapple with him because he was so afraid of getting hit. And I wonder if now is the time where Kamaru Usman doesn't want to get hit anymore because he's been in so many fights and he's had health issues his whole career. Even when he was the champ, you would hear stories that he can't run because his knees were so screwed up from wrestling. So that's where I think it gets interesting. Do you know what the line is for this fight? I'll tell you. You want to give me a guess on the line? Kamaru versus Buckley?
I I'm pretty sure I've seen something about this, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna say Kamaru plus 200.
Yeah, yeah. It's plus 220
Okay, because
currently.
I was watching, Matty
I think he's
Betts.
underdog.
I was watching his stuff, and he said he found one for like plus 280. So I was like, maybe the average is gonna be like plus
So some
200.
money's come down, I guess, but regardless, I'm not very bullish on Kamaru Usman in this fight.
Hmm.
I just think it's a bad matchup.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I don't know. I mean, but with some good takedown defense, it's gonna be hard to see Usman to stand and strike with Buckley. I mean, Buckley looked great against Wonderboy, knocked him out. So
Yeah.
he's younger. Not a lot of
It's like a Mack truck. His takedown defense has gotten better. Like, where does Kamaru win? Like, yeah, if he grinds, if he can last through the third round and take him down, then yeah. But and I would live bet Kamaru if he survived into round three and Buckley starts looking tired. But until then, there's no reason to bet it on the money line. You would have to wait until the second round just to see if he survives.
yeah. At the end of the day, though, if Kamaru like does what old Kamaru does, and he like just like takes him down and looks like he used to, I'd be like, oh, this is Kamaru. He's just doing Kamaru things. Like I won't even be like that surprised. But
I'd be pretty surprised, but yeah, I hear you.
yeah, and then also shout out to Cody Garbrandt, also on the card, Rose Namajunas. So we'll see if those two can get back on track. So that's UFC this weekend. We'll do a little bit more recap of that, rounding out with our fights to watch. But we've also got PFL tonight, which is actually going to be starting right around the time that this episode goes up at 5 p.m. EST. It's the first round of semifinals between the welterweights and featherweights. Headliner is a pretty friggin' solid appetizing fight. We've got Jason Jackson taking on Thad Gene. Jason Jackson, one of the front runners in this tournament. Thad Gene had, he cut a crazy promo after his last fight. So definitely looking forward to that one. And then in the co-main, we got Jesus Pinedo taking on Gabriel Braga. Anything else from that PFL card, those two fights that you're looking forward to, Eric?
You honestly might know more about this than I do. I've always liked Jason Jackson. I've always thought Jason Jackson was solid. I don't know a whole lot about Thad Gene, like that promo that you're talking about. Honestly, don't know it. So that's a little bit lost on me, and then I don't know any of these co-main event fighters. So honestly, like, didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of research on the fight card, and this is kind of where I'm at right now on it. I'll
That's full
watch it and
transparency. I respect it.
full transparency, I have not I don't really know most of the fighters on this card. Like I looked at it and I was like, I know Jason Jackson.
One thing I will say, if Thad Gene beats Jason Jackson, which is a very formidable opponent, stick around to see what he says on the mic. Because last time
Fair enough.
he shot his shot with Dakota Dacheva, and he said a few other things that he's
Did
good
he
on the
really?
mic. Yeah,
That's so.
it was
I
pretty funny.
interviewed Dakota Disheva several months ago, and it's one of our most viewed
It
because
keeps getting
everybody's
views.
just in love with her. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. Look at
Alrighty.
the comments.
So that's PFL taken care of, rounding out this weekend, and we'll get to Scott's event rating. What's your fight to watch, Eric?
So big time prospect with crazy power. Mansur Abdul Malik and big favorite. He's a minus 600 favorite. Cody Brundage is always down for a brawl, and he always charges at his opponent. So I think the UFC kind of knows what they're doing here by giving Abdul Malik this kind of opponent. So good fight for him. I believe I cashed a pretty big tick on him to win by second or third round TKO last time. I don't think this one's going to get to the second round this time around. So really, really fun fight. I think Abdul Malik, watch that name, could be household within the next year and a half.
Alrighty, noted. And then Scott, of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, is not. By the way, Mike Perry giving Scott a happy birthday. There we go. Come on now.
He was like, "Who is Scott Fontana? Oh, happy birthday!"
Yeah. So there we go. That's our birthday present to you, Scott.
Yes.
But he is looking forward to Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Paul Craig. He's been known to, like you were talking about before, defensive grappling, pulling out Hail Mary submissions. Who knows? Maybe he comes away with one on Saturday night.
Fun fight.
Yes. Okay, so are you ready for the event rating, Eric? I've got them in front of me. UFC is a 64.
64. Wow, that's really
good for a fight night. Yeah,
that might be like the best fight night that we've had all year.
Yeah, top 2 for sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Scott wanted to know.
Prime time too. ESPN.
Oh, no way. All righty. There we go. I mean, Eric, you've been following this ESPN rights deal saga for quite some time. So, yes, hopefully we're just waiting on news all the time. So whenever Eric does get some news, we'll let you know. But it could be any day now.
Maybe something coming.
Dana also at the post-fight presser is sorry to veer off, but he was like, yeah, you could expect something, either this month, the month after that, or the month after that, or the month after that. He was like, come on, man, like just give us something.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about it. And I'll just say this word really quick. And I said this the last time. The longer that this goes, the more it favors ESPN.
Yeah.
There's no way that Netflix or Amazon or TNT is going to be able to put together an entire production team in 4 months. It's not happening. They're going to need more time.
And the last thing that I'll say on this TV thing before we move on to the PFL event rating, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time that you and I talked about this a few months ago, this was before the exclusive negotiation rights period went up. The likelihood that it would not be ESPN was kind of going up as they drew closer to it, and then it went down after that, and then now it's kind of going back up again. Is that kind of how it works? Like them not having something set up with ESPN before that time went up was like, it might not be ESPN, and then there's like this dip in between. That's kind of how I visualize it.
I can't divulge too much. Still waiting on some stuff.
Okay, fair enough. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Well, too late. Continue.
Okay, alrighty. Moving on. The PFL event rating, we just had a 64 from the UFC. What do you think? It's a give me a guess.
I only know Jason Jackson. It's got to be under 10.
It is a 2.
A 2.
Scott wanted to note that this card is actually better than the score in his opinion. He's saying it got weighed down a bit by some deep prospect fights down on the card. But he does say that the 4 semifinal bouts, or 4 of the semifinal bouts at 170 and 145 are intriguing, particularly the main and the co-main, which, we talked about a little bit before. So no disagreements there. Definitely stick around and watch that one if you want to see some good fights. So, yeah. And with that, rounding out this weekend and tonight, Eric, you got your 3 bets in 3 minutes. You ready?
Do it.
Yeah, and we had a bad week in Newark last week. Not our best work. Sean O'Malley versus Merab. Believed in Sean, like we said, but we wipe the slate clean. We go to Atlanta, and we go for 3 bets in 3 minutes here. And we're going to start it off here, not with the main event. We're going to start off with the co-main event, and we're going to go with Miranda Maverick here against Rose Namajunas. Miranda Maverick improving dramatically, winner of 4 straight. And is it just me, or is Rose Namajunas closer to retirement than not? I don't know. She's lost 3 of her last 5. I don't see why she's a minus 265 favorite here. It seems like a lot. So, from my perspective, I see, Maverick continuing to improve. I'm not sure exactly where Rose is in her just her skill base, her training. I just have a lot of questions about her willingness to fight at an elite level. I feel like if she loses this fight, I think she could actually move on, past fighting. So, for me, I'm going to go Miranda Maverick here, plus 200 on BetRivers. Great bet. My favorite underdog on the card by far. And then we go to the fight before that, right? And we're going to go right back to the well here on another underdog. And Andre Petroski is somebody that I have, backed almost every fight that he's had. I've always been a huge fan of his. College wrestler. I have some friends that would wrestle with him in college when he transferred to Bloomsburg University. College wrestler, Edmond Shabazian, man. I've always, Edmund's a guy that I've I faded in the past, I would say. And my issue with Edmund is that his takedown defense is really bad. He also has a bad cardio base. His striking's creative. His striking's powerful. He's really, really good in stand-up fights. But even against guys like, Brunson, where he gets taken down 5 times in a main event and just takes so much damage. Like, his fight is his coaches should have thrown in the towel on a couple of those fights. But so for me, I'm looking here to back Petrosky. He's plus 154 on FanDuel, and there's no way that I see Petrosky wrestling him and maybe even getting a finish here via crucifix position. I don't believe that I'll believe it when I see it on Edmonds' takedowns defense. How about that? And then for the last one, and this is a prelim fight, and it's Malcolm Whitaker versus Chris Moutinho. And we know Chris Moutinho he's in there as a sacrificial lamb. We understand that. The odds suggest it. I believe Whitaker is about a minus 2,000 favorite. He's a striking savant. You might remember Chris Moutinho fought Sean O'Malley, beat the brakes off of him, and then, eventually, finally, mercifully got stopped at the end of the third round. Moutinho's in there to get knocked out, in there to give Wellmaker a highlight reel knockout. And I think that will happen. I just don't know if it'll happen in the first round, as the odds suggest. Wellmaker is minus 150 to win by knockout in the first round, which is crazy. I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go Wellmaker wins by KO/TKO in the second or third round at plus 210. It's on FanDuel right now. I don't see Moutinho winning this fight by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that he's able to last more than a round, especially if Wellmaker's as good of a striker as the UFC seems to believe. So Wellmaker, second and third round knockout, plus 210. And those are your 3 bets in 3 minutes.
Alrighty, Eric, thank you so much for those 3 bets in 3 minutes, killing it as always. How do you want to take it away for quick hits?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll run through some quick hits. So Joshua Van, who just had an unbelievable performance against Bruno Silva, late third round knockout or TKO. He's immediately jumping in and fighting again in the month of June. He's fighting UFC 317, against Brandon Royval.
Insane.
Ridiculous move. Hate it. Don't want him to do it. Hopefully it works out for him. Don't like 2 weight cuts in 3 weeks, but I'm not his manager.
Against a killer.
Against a championship level fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it. Do what you do, man. Manel Kopp had to pull out, and he's going to jump in. I hope he's getting a bag for it. It's probably not.
So much respect, but wow.
Yeah, so much respect. Hopefully it works out for him. He opened as a minus 300 favorite. He is now an underdog, which is probably fair.
Van opened up as a favorite?
Van opened up as a minus 280 favorite offshore.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's love for him. People love him. It's crazy. And how about Ali Abdelaziz, over on Submission Radio, said that Justin Gaethje will retire if he doesn't get a title shot. I kind of love it, though. I'll be honest.
I hate it.
You hate it? Oh boy,
like,
I kind of love it because Well, I'll tell you why I love it first. I love it because it's like the UFC always has all of the power. So Justin Gaethje's like, you know what? I'll hold you hostage. I'm the most exciting fighter in the UFC, and if you don't give me what I want, I'm retiring. That's funny to me.
It is. Well, it's Ali kind of doing it for him, but
right.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes, right? Like Justin didn't say it, so you can't get mad at Justin. Ali said it, so
yeah, there we go. That is true. And when
that's how it works with agents.
When I heard that, I was like, okay, there's the door.
Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't, but I kind of love it at the same time. He's got leverage. He's going to use it, so go for it. Yeah. Mark Kerr, UFC Hall of Famer, fought in Pride as well. He ducked into the UFC Hall of Fame, which I thought was interesting. He only fought in the UFC, I believe, like 4 or 5 times.
Tournament winner, though.
Tournament winner, that is true. He's definitely a pioneer of the sport, big time name. And he has a movie coming out featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the headliner for it. So, big time Hollywood movie. UFC is super into the Hollywood promotions now. Obviously, they were owned by a big time agency, WME Endeavor. So, yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, so Hall of Fame. And then last but certainly not least, and this goes back to our television media rights negotiation situation, Dana White is indeed promoting Crawford versus Canelo in September. And the bigger news was that it'll be broadcasted on Netflix.
There we go.
So anybody that says that Netflix doesn't like Dana White, you could throw that out the window. They don't care.
Yeah. Do you know if Dana is going to be like personally, appearing on this, or is it just more like a TKO is involved?
I actually was in line to ask a question about it because I did want to know. It's like because there's a UFC event the same day. I mean, obviously he doesn't go to most of the fight nights anymore anyway, but I would just like to know is like choosing between the two, what you going to go with? But I feel like I already know the answer. He's not going to the UFC
Yeah,
event.
yeah. So it's TKO is promoting this fight. I saw the
Scheming.
yeah. Anywho, so that's definitely an interesting, switch. People were kind of freaking out for a little bit, and those
Yeah,
those questions came up during the
for sure.
pressers. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quick hits. Thank you so much for taking care of that, Eric. Let's talk about our homework. We had a hiatus last week due to all the craze of Fight Week being local. Lyoto Machina, sorry, UFC 104, Lyoto Machida versus Mauricio Shogun, who won. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this one first. I know typically I'm the guinea pig, but how did you
Yeah.
think about it?
Hadn't seen this fight. I hadn't seen this fight. Um, I was a little confused on honestly why we even assigned it. And no beef to Scott. I was just like, it wasn't the most entertaining fight. I think that the real story of the fight was just bad decision. Um,
So yes, yeah,
it
that
was just a
was
really
that
bad.
was what he said during his assignment. Was focus on the judging. If that clears
Yes.
anything up for you.
Yes, he did say that. But I was just like, and I knew it was a 25-minute fight because he said that. So I was going through it and I was like, okay, like Lyoto maybe won one going after two, but then after and then like maybe one round three. I'd say that was probably his best round for Lyoto. But
Yeah,
then
he had
four,
that big shot.
yeah, but 4 and 5 weren't really that close. So I don't really know where the judges got that from. I thought it was 3-2 at worst for Shogun. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about it?
I first off I do concur in the fact that like if I was a fan watching that fight, I mean watching title fights live, even if it is a boring fight, it makes it more exciting. Like for me watching title fights, especially if I care about either of the fighters, like I typically don't come away thinking that they're boring as long as there's like some action going on. This one though, like yeah, like you said, it wasn't like a total barn burner. Um, Totally agree in terms of the decision. I'm getting better with it. I'm still learning in terms of like tuning my my inner judge. Right. The main thing that I think I'm still kind of struggling with is weighting strikes with your hands and leg strikes. Because we see leg
Mhm.
kicks, honestly, probably more than uh, hand strikes, like or maybe
Right.
just as much. So sometimes I have trouble determining which one counts for more, but there was
Right.
a ton of kicks coming from Mauricio Shogun Hua, so that made it quite a bit easier. So yes, I agree with the saying that it was a bit of a robbery.
Yeah, what's funny too is like listening to Rogan and Goldberg talk about it, where he was like, where they were like, all right, like Shogun should be up 2-0 here. And then I was like, no, it's not. Like I was prepared to come on here and be like, actually, not a bad decision because through 3 rounds, I was like, it could be Lyoto 2-3, but then 4 and 5 were really lopsided. So I was like, I feel like I'm being generous giving Lyoto one or two.
hmm
I think one specifically, I was like, Lyoto might have won that round, especially like his knees to the body during clinch work. I thought was underrated. And yeah, I thought I was going to come on here after the third round and be like, this is not a robbery. And then 4 and 5, I was like, I
Yeah,
was like, terrible. Like who? Like I was like, maybe you can potentially like who knows? Like I was even like trying to like look at it from the judge's perspective. I still didn't see it. I
play
was like,
devil's
bad,
advocate. Yeah.
bad, 0 out of 10 from the judges. Bad, bad work.
Yes. So I get why Scott assigned that one now.
I'm interested if Scott thought the same thing because I feel like me and him never agree on wrong decisions.
Oh really?
Oh, he usually gives from my perspective, he gives the ref the benefit of the doubt more often than not. So I'm interested to see if he thinks that's a bad decision or not.
Oh, I'm sure. I think this one's universally despised,
Yeah.
from what I understand. Um, but speaking of Scott, he has assigned us not one, not two, five. He's assigned us five
Is it
fights.
another old UFC event?
Let's
Was it
see
like
here.
UFC 1 or 2 or 3?
No, it is. Sorry, excuse me.
It's not a tournament?
No, it's not a tournament. He's assigned us the Shane Carwin experience, is what he's calling it. His first 5 UFC bouts versus Christian Wellish, Neil Wayne, Gabriel Gonzaga, Frank Mir, and Brock Lesnar in that order. And I know Scott briefly said that he was going to do this when we were together last week. He said it's very quick fights. So if that
Yeah,
helps
I've seen the last
soften the
two.
blow.
I've seen the last two.
Yeah. So, I mean, heck, we're going to see 5, what I would imagine would be finishes if
Oh yeah,
yeah. So,
Shane Carwin was nuts.
yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to that. 5 shorter homework assignments. I feel like that's doable. Kind of evens out to a 25-minute fight. So, yeah.
Let's do it. This week in MMA?
Yeah, you want to go for it?
Yeah, let's do it. June 13th, 2015, Fabricio Verdum submits Cain Velasquez in Mexico City. Obviously, Cain Velasquez was, Mexican pride to the max.
Out the wazoo, yes, sir.
Oh my goodness. So tough. The crowd reaction of that is interesting if you ever watch it. But yeah, unifies the heavyweight title and losing like that while gassing out, like Cain kind of gassed out there at altitude, maybe had an adrenaline dump to fighting at home. As Scott would say, it gave birth to the mythical fighter Sea Level Cain. That's the note from Scott. Sea Level Cain Velasquez is the best Cain Velasquez.
There we go. I love that. I actually hadn't heard of that one, and
Me either.
I
That's an
love all the
interesting
mythical fighter names. So
An interesting note. I like that
that's a
one.
new one added to the list.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Eric. I think this episode is one for the books. We had
Entertaining podcast for sure. Shout out Mike Perry. Shout out Dirty Boxing Championship, and happy birthday, Scott. Thanks
Yes.
for tuning in, everybody.
happy birthday, Scott. See you, Eric, and we'll see you, Scott, next week. Adios.